Informed, outspoken, wild, fearless. This is the Fantasy Football Dudes Podcast.
What is up, my dudes? This is Trent with the Fantasy Football Dudes Podcast. I am joined by Jordan, Phil, and Seth. Today's episode, we are going over our wide receiver rankings. Going to give up, our averages from what we've done, a little different than what we've been doing. Going to knock out as many as we can. Before we do into that, Jordan, is there anything you want to say about my Trevor Lawrence slander? Are you doing okay? You hanging in there? I thought you were going to rage quit the pod. What do you have to say here? We can kind of.
No, you're entitled to say whatever you want. My only gripe is that you didn't have me on the pod to give my opinion on the whole thing. You just kind of went behind my back and did it yourself. I don't know. I was a little offended. If I decided to have a solo pod about Dak, I'd be like, you know what? Not a good idea. You have Trent on the pod.
Yeah, because you don't know how to press record. But anyways, I just get a text from Jordan on Monday morning, like, Judas, how dare you? And I'm like, what is this even talking about? And I forgot I even recorded the pod on Saturday. It'd been so long. But Seth,
people say you were trying to do an ASMR, like you were whispering, like people thought
he was
like
tapping one of those, his phone on the thing like this.
Yeah, people were thinking that you were trying to put them to sleep, like it was one of those podcasts. What was I think here's the thing: if you're going to do a solo podcast,
it was a white noise fantasy football pod.
Yeah,
you might be onto something, Phil.
Hey, actually, that might be a good podcast now to come to think of it. But jeez,
what was that?
Trent's doing one of those ASMR. Is that what it's called? ASMR?
I don't know what it's called. I just know that's gotten really popular on Spotify. Is people are listening to white noise podcasts, and it's just people whispering into your ears so you go to sleep, and it seems like the freakiest thing in the world.
It is. Autonomous sensory meridian response is a tingling sensation that usually begins in the scalp and moves down the back of the neck and the upper spine. So it's apparently it's a kind of a relaxing sounds. I don't know what it is, but Trent was basically trying to do that on the last pod. It's you're going to do a pod, do it right. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather you do it in the bed of your truck and actually be able to hear you. I'd rather hear passing cars than having to hear you whisper through the podcast. What are we talking about here?
I'd rather hit my face I'd rather hit my face with a shovel than listen to you talk. But that's
also, if you are going to do a podcast and you have a bookshelf behind you and we know you can't read, you just put on a back of green screen. I know. Be honest and tell me how many of those books you've actually read.
Oh man, do you really want me to count?
And the Bible is back there, so be honest.
Let me just go ahead and before I just put my hand on all right. No, oh man, I'm messing with my mic here. Yeah, Bill, I'll be honest. I'm more of a digital reader, more of an e-reader. So
you make me
I know The Hobbit's on there. I read that.
Play.
Series of Unfortunate Events. I read all of those.
You listen to them.
No, I read all those. Those are good. Phil, you have some count Olaf tendencies, always out to get people, stuff like that.
Sort of looks like
I want to see who this is. What is this Count Olaf?
Jordan has the same unibrow as the guy. No, anyway.
Oh man. This guy's got some redeeming qualities.
Before we get into the wide receiver rankings, we're going to get that. I'm going to try to timestamp it for you guys here on YouTube. Go check us out at TFF Dudes. Really helps us out. This is just rumblings. It's off season. So we got rumor mill, all that good stuff. JPA football. I really like their Twitter. It seems like they always do a good job. Rumors QB salary cap has been discussed by some NFL owners due to how rapidly quarterback contracts are growing. And the quote per Tom Pelissero and on the Rich Eisen show, there has certainly been discussion within the league among certain owners about even the idea of a quarterback cap, that at some point you don't even want quarterback numbers to go over a certain percentage of your salary cap. To my knowledge, that hasn't really gained traction, in part because so many teams have already paid their quarterbacks. Do you think this happens? What are we thinking? Are we going to put QBs in a totally different, spear within the payroll? What are your thoughts on this, Jordan? I know this doesn't seem like maybe salary caps aren't really the American way, right? I think we could make that argument. I think it makes the sport a little bit better having salary cap, but do you actually see a QB cap, Jordan?
I have a hard time believing that will ever happen, just because you're singling out one position, and I don't know if like quarterbacks are really going to go for that. So I mean, because everything has to be approved by the Players Association, right? And so why would the NFLPA ever approve that?
Well, how many votes do like the NFLPA? Like how many votes do the quarterbacks have? Most starting quarterbacks don't even go to the NFLPA. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but
like,
I mean, they're supposed to represent all players, right? And like, if you and what it does, Trent, is like, is there now going to be like, if they do it for quarterbacks, where's the line? Is wide receivers next? Because wide receivers are getting paid a lot of money, like, you know. And so, are they going to cap that? Or like, running backs aren't going to want any type of cap on them because they already have like, it's just it's going to affect everybody. It's like the slippery slope, right? You do it for one position, where's the next position? Like, then you start getting into salary caps for every position. I don't know. Players want as much money as they possibly can. The NFLPA is going to want as much money as they possibly can for all players. So I have a hard time believing that will ever get passed.
I don't see it happening either, especially like with what he said. Like, you know, a lot of teams have already paid their quarterbacks. So, like, if you've already paid your quarterback, are you really going to vote for something like that? The NFLPA never seems to really agree on the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're always all over the place with stuff like that, in my opinion.
But
like,
limiting play the amount of money a player can make, I'm pretty sure I know what the answer is going to be from the NFLPA.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to happen. I really don't. But with all that being said, Phil, do you have anything you want to weigh in on that? I know you're a very like this needs to be fair kind of guy, like stuff like that. Like you're always trying to move the goalposts in the middle of our fantasy season. So today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Trophy Smack.
Trophy Smack is the absolute best place if you're looking for some fantasy football trophies. Last place trophies, first place trophies, blessed to Patrick Mahomes. They've even got some nice wrestling singlets that say some, not so nice things about fantasy football. But guys, everything you need for your fantasy football league, head over to trophysmack.com/dudes. 15% off your whole entire order, guys. Go over to Trophy Smack. Tell them the dude sent you. You won't be sorry. You got to have a trophy for that fantasy football league.
Wide receiver rankings. Phil, just go ahead and read 30 through 25, and then I'll put the graph up for 25. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, wherever you listen to podcasts, head over to YouTube, following the show there, like, and give us a sub. The sub really helps us out, guys. So, Phil, go ahead and read that from 30 to 25, my guy.
Yeah, I'm going to be reading our consensus ranking from 30 to 25. So at 30, Calvin Ridley. At 29, George Pickens. At 28, Zay Flowers. At 27, Tank Dell. At 26, T. Higgins. At 25, Terry McLaurin. I'm stopping there at 25.
No, is there anything there, Jordan, from 30 to 26 that you just don't like? 26, T. Higgins was a guy I thought we were kind of all over the place on. T. Higgins is at 26. Jordan, I believe you have him at 20. I have him at 31. Seth, I'm not sure where you have him, but Jordan, like, a lot of guys are saying he's the best number 2 wide receiver in the NFL. Are we too low on him, Jordan?
On T. Higgins?
Yes.
Shoot, I have him. Where do I have him at? I have him at 20.
I have Higgins at 28 or 27.
Yeah, so I think we're a little low. I think you guys are a little low on him. But again, like, I think maybe some of the contract stuff is playing a part in this. A little bit. So I think that's
In what way?
Like a little bit like out of sight, out of mind type of thing, like I think people are a little worried about how his chemistry will be. I think also people are worried about if he's going to play, that type of thing. I think his ADP will start to rise now that he signed the franchise tag. Yeah, I think the consensus wise, we're a little low on him, in my opinion.
Yeah, and we'll keep updating this throughout the year, though. But T. Higgins, like, definitely, like, that was one where I was like, seemed like we were kind of all over the place there. We have Tank Dell at 27. Do we want to just talk about, Texans wide receivers like that? It just seems kind of like a weird I don't like Texans wide receivers. I just don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, would it shock you if Tank Dell was the best wide receiver on the Texans? Would that shock anyone?
No.
I know Nico Collins got paid all the money, but looking at our rankings here, we have Nico Collins at 21 and we have Tank Dell at 27. Where do you have Nico Collins, Jordan? Are you the highest on or Seth? I think Seth's pretty high on Nico.
I have Nico Collins at
you have him at 16, Seth?
16, yeah.
And where do you have him
I have Nico at 26, 25. Sorry, I'm having a hard time reading this chart. Right. 25, Diggs at like 28, and Tank Dell at 40. So like I'm all over the place with this guy. I don't trust any of them, and so I'm ranking them like I have no idea. You know, I think Tank Dell's probably the third there. But and I don't know. Like I have a hard time believing that he can support 3 top 30 receivers.
Where do you have Stephon Diggs? That's another one. Like I feel like I'm too high on Stephon Diggs right now. Looking at this, I have him at 22. Am I the highest on Stephon Diggs? Seth has him at 24. Jordan, do you have him at all? You have him at 29.
I have him at 29.
And as a pod, we have Stephon Diggs at what do we have him? 24. Okay, we have him at 24. So
yeah,
okay, that's kind of what I
who has
there.
Tank Dell so high? You guys have
I have him high. I have him at 21.
So
is that extremely high?
So you ranked. Where do you have Diggs at?
I have Diggs at 22.
He put Collins,
so
Dell,
you literally
and Diggs
think
3 in a row.
You think that they can support 3 top 25 receivers, not all,
and a stud tight end.
And you probably have Mixon ranked where?
Mixon. I have not done my. Let me see where I have Mixon. I have Mixon at. I got to go into another spreadsheet to pull that up.
Here, I have it, Trent.
You have Trent.
Yeah. So, like, I mean, are you expecting the Texans to be the greatest show on turf? Like, I'm not being sarcastic here. It's a genuine question because for you to have them all ranked there, and I guarantee you're going to have Schultz ranked in your top 12 at tight end. So, like,
which top 12 tight end though? That's not saying that much. You don't have to be that specific. If he's 11 or 10, yeah, you won't.
You know, you will. You'll have them.
Yeah, I will. I probably will. Yeah.
So like, how are they scoring 35 points a game? What are we expecting?
I'm probably.
I think there's 2 ways to go about this. There's the Jordan way, where you kind of put them like, hey, this is the pecking order, or what you think the pecking order is, right? You put 2 guys higher up, and you put 1 out of the top 40. Trent's thinking is, I don't know, it could be any 3 of these guys, and I'm going to put them all right in the area where 2 of them or 1 out of the 3 can finish, or maybe 1 out of 3 is going to finish a lot higher. And I think that's fine. Like, I think that's like hey, one of these guys are going to finish in this range. Some guys are going to be higher probably, and maybe some guys are going to be lower, or maybe they're all going to finish right there. I don't know if it's that bad, Trent.
Trent's thinking like it's going to be hometown buffet, dude. Everyone's going to eat. I think is that what you're thinking, Trent?
But at some point,
what you go, Jordan?
No, it's just they're going to cannibalize each other at some point. And no offense, the greatest offenses don't support 3 top 30 wide receivers. Like, I mean, I could be, maybe I'm talking out of my, right now, but like, I can't.
It's a G-rated show, my friend.
I can't remember. Like, I can't remember anything off the top of my head. Like, an offense has supported 3 top 30 wide receivers.
Yeah. What were the Niners last year?
I don't know. Okay, go to.
Let's look at the rankings. So I'll look up. Yeah, let's look up.
While you're looking that up, I'm going to talk. Okay, so what I said was
Debo and Ayuk finished right. Finished.
Jordan
Ayuk finished wide receiver 14.
I hate these yahoos.
Debo, Samuel.
Basically, Jordan, I feel like one of them is going to finish top 15.
Finish wide receiver
maybe
12.
Top 10. I don't know which one, Jordan. And so I hate that Seth was right. But yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. I think one of these guys, I don't know if I really want to be the one. Like, I don't know which one I want to take. I think I like Diggs the least, though. But I really like Stroud.
3, but the Niners had 2.
But okay, but
and they had Christian McCaffrey.
No, that's fine. But my point is that that's like what wide receiver what Ayuk and Debo were wearing.
And Kittle finished tied in 5.
Okay, wide receiver
12. 13. I think it was 12 and 14. 12 and 13 or 12 and 14.
But those two literally got the entire offense. Like wide receiver 3 was Jawan Jennings, and he was probably like wide receiver like 60, 70.
Careful.
I mean, what was Jawan Jennings? I mean, the guy's receiving prop was 1.5 every single
Did
day.
You see that guy's Super Bowl performance?
He was wide receiver 110. But let's just erase that from our memory.
So my point though is that the third guy is a big deal.
Yeah.
And Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs. And I just have a hard time believing John Mechie and Noah Brown was really good for them last year. I just have a hard time believing that they're just not going to use him and Mechie. They have a 2nd round pick invested in, I think. 2nd or 3rd round pick invested in. And then on top of that, you have Mixon and Schultz. I just have a hard time believing that Noah Brown, Mechie aren't involved. And I could see these guys playing like 70% snaps, 70% snaps, Diggs like 65, 70, all 3. The other 2 guys working in like 30, 35. They're going to go maybe some Schultz out wide. Like, I
think you're talking me into it. I think you're talking me into it, Jordan. But who do you hate the most in this?
Juszczyk finished as fullback number
No,
1.
we don't care. We don't care about Juszczyk.
And McCaffrey finished running back number 1.
It's true. Trent's not that far off, but I agree with your point, Jordan.
McCaffrey was basically a top 30 wide receiver. If you only count his receiving yards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jordan.
So who's right here though, Seth? Is it Trent or Seth?
No, Seth kind of nailed what I was thinking right there. Is like I don't know. I think they're going to use Diggs too because they paid him. Like Diggs is going to have Diggs. They're going to use Diggs.
But Jordan does have a point. It's going to be cannibalistic. These guys aren't going to finish 3 in a row. But I do understand Trent's logic behind it.
Here's where I think Trent.
I think you ever said to me, Seth.
I think that one is going to be like a borderline top 20. Because where do I have Nico Collins? So I have him ranked a little bit lower maybe than I should. I think one will probably be top 20, maybe like 18 and 23, somewhere in there. The other one's going to be like a top 30. And I think the other one's going to be like between 38 and 48. Like I think they're more like 3 top 50 wide receivers. I tend to think it's going to go Nico Collins, Diggs, Dell. That's how I have him ranked. I just think that they traded for Diggs. They paid Nico Collins a lot of money. Tank Dell he could be the odd man out here. Like, and it doesn't mean he's not a good real life football player. It doesn't mean that he's not involved in their offense and he's contributing to a good football team. It might just mean he's just not as good of a fantasy asset as he was last year.
Don't you think, though, like there's always something about rookie quarterbacks coming in with rookie wide receivers where they kind of have that bond, like, and that's kind of like, they've been there since day one. They're kind of, they're kind of boys. Like that's kind of stuff that happens. CJ Stroud said he cried when he heard that Tank Dell got shot, stuff like that. Like these guys are very close, these 2 guys. And I think you have to you can't count out, the same draft class thing of like getting drafted together. I think that's a big deal, especially with the success they had.
That's like saying that like you and I aren't that close, but if you got shot, I would definitely cry a little bit. Like that's like such a random.
That means a lot. Don't ask me that question about you, but no,
why is that the
I've
thing
never been so happy.
Why is that the thing you point at for their closeness? Like choose something else. He got shot and CJ Stroud cried. Like I'm sure there was a lot of tears. I would have been sad if my buddy got shot too. I don't know why that's the stat you bring up.
He's on my dynasty team. I didn't cry, but I knew like later that he was okay. He probably found out sooner.
And also, where did you find that out? Is it on ESPN?
It was on a podcast, CJ Stroud's podcast. He's like pretty big influencer. Yeah. What were you saying, Jordan?
Trent, no, to answer your question though, I just think that like, yes, you're right, but also Tank Dell is going to be the 3rd wide receiver in 3 wide receiver sets. If they go 2 wide receiver sets, with 2 tight ends and a running back, he's not in the field. So like, and then it's just one of those things where they're going to give Diggs every chance to kind of redeem himself this year. And so I just think they're gonna get him the ball. I just think like I said, doesn't mean he's not going to be useful some weeks. Doesn't mean that he's not going to get the ball. But Trent, he could have 4 catches a game for 40 yards, and you're not getting much. 56, 4 catches, 60 yards. Like, it doesn't mean like he's top 40. Like, he's going to be about 40. And having
you heard it here first. Jordan said Tank Dell's bad at football, Phil.
That's not what I said.
No, I just don't know which guy it's going to be. I think that the rookie, coming in together thing is a bigger deal than what we're looking at. Like, him and Tank Dell are really close.
Yeah, I mean, now obviously, if one gets hurt, then I think the other two become awesome, right? So
yeah,
I think I'm also just a little bit lower on the Texans offense than you are, Trent. I think you're a little bit higher than they are. Right. Sometimes we get a little sophomore slump, a little bit. We'll see.
I'd love if they're good.
I'd love it. I would love it. Jordan would probably go AWOL on this pod. Like, he hates the Texans. All right, that was
loves them.
That was Phil. What was that right there? That was 25 through 21.
That was
30 through 25. You want me to go 24?
Okay. But we kind of read 25 through 21, didn't we?
No, we didn't.
No, we didn't.
No,
I just
you had the graphic up wrong.
You had the incorrect graphic up.
Well,
but we did talk a lot on Nico Collins.
We talked a lot about Nico and Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, but we didn't talk about Michael Pittman, which you guys have been hating on him a ton. But honestly, Pittman's. Who else is there, Jordan, for Pittman?
They have Josh Downs, who I'm pretty high on just as a player in general. Downs. And then they have they drafted A.D. Mitchell. I'd say your boy at Texas still. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, there's guys there, and you got to think that they give Jonathan Taylor the ball a little bit. Also, obviously more than a little bit. And then you also have Anthony Richardson back, who I know Trent's really high on. I would imagine he takes some touchdown equity. I think he's not the best for wide receivers. I don't trust his arm that, he's going to take off and run a little bit more. So I think it kind of limits the ceiling of Pittman a little bit, in my opinion.
So Amari Cooper here, this would be like his worst finish in 3 years. I know there's some contract talk, stuff like that. We have him at 23. I usually just pencil him in at 20, or I usually just pencil him in at 10. Where do I have him on my list here? I have him at
19.
So yeah, I'm not even I think there's just too much unknown with Deshaun Watson. Other one, I'm really high on Terry McLaurin. I have him at 12. You guys aren't as high on him. You guys both have him at 33. So that's kind of a discrepancy right there with Terry McLaurin. What is his ADP actually? His ADP right now is...
Are you talking about Terry?
Yeah, Terry's ADP. It is... Where's he at right here? He's at 65. So that's about what he went in our mock draft, I believe. Yeah, I really like Terry McLaurin still. Jayden Daniels, I know he's saying he's not the superstar yet, or whatever it was he said, but I still think that this is one of the best quarterbacks Terry McLaurin's ever had, and I think he can be really good. So do you think Terry, you don't think he finishes top 15, Jordan?
No, there's just guys if you rank Terry McLaurin where you have him, Trent, I mean, you're ranking him over guys like Zay Flowers, Jalen Waddle, Hollywood Brown, DJ Moore,
I might
Christian
do him.
Watson.
I'm going to put him in a lot of polls this week, Jordan, of guys, Terry McLaurin versus them. I think that he's a good guy to put on polls for Twitter, and Terry McLaurin versus Jalen Waddle. What was their finish last year? I bet they were somewhat close. Terry McLaurin didn't have that good of a year.
McLaurin high. You have 12.
I have him really high. I'm not.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I just think Jayden Daniels just peppers him, is what I'm hoping.
But Jahan Dotson's still there. I mean, he's a guy who's gonna get the ball. They drafted the tight end and Ben Sinnott. I like that. I'm higher on the Commanders' offense.
Curtis Samuel is gone though.
Yeah, he is gone. I just kind of think that it's more of closer. I think Jahan Dotson and McLaurin are closer than maybe what you think, Trent.
What did Jaylen Waddle finish last year? And what did Terry McLaurin finish last year? I'm pulling it up right now. If one of you has it sooner, go ahead and look at that for me.
Say it again.
What did Terry McLaurin finish last year? Yeah, I have it right there on the chart. It's a little easier for this rankings on our weekly recap notes, guys. But
he's at 33, Trent.
Oh, I have him at 28, and I believe it's in a half point. I mean, see, full point there, Jordan.
And what did Waddle finish at? Waddle finished at 34.
You want one below him, so I mean,
one below him. So it's about
Waddle
the same.
But Waddle was also hurt, right?
That's true.
He was hurt a little bit.
Yeah. So, okay. All right. I think with those, anybody else in here we want to kind of pick out a little bit, Amari Cooper, Nico, are we ready to go to the next one?
Yeah.
I think we can go to the next one here. We're going to be going basically 20, is it 20 to 15 or 19 to 15?
16,
it's right here,
16,
right here, Phil. 20 to 15 is what I got on the
15,
graphic.
20 to 15. All right, here we go. We have Jaylen Waddle at 20. I was looking at the spreadsheet, so that's my bad. Number 19, Devonta Smith. 18, DJ Moore. 17, Marvin Harrison Jr. 16, DK Metcalf. And then 15, Deebo Samuel. Just taking a look a little bit at our comparisons. Anything there that stands out to you guys just in terms of our consensus?
This is like where we have DK Metcalf. I feel like every year is kind of at that 16 range is where he ends up going.
That spot about DK.
Does he?
Yeah, but also too, like he finished last year at 16. So you know what I mean? Like he ended up like finishing there. So
I think we got to see a little bit more out of Geno Smith this year too. Like that's probably what worries me the most.
I don't know if I like Waddle below DK, but I mean even Devonta Smith, like he had a crazy year. 2 years ago, right? Him and AJ Brown, and he had a little regression this year, but.
Jordan, what do you think about DJ Moore? I have DJ Moore at 17. You have DJ Moore at 22. And Seth, you have DJ Moore at 21. So like I'm highest on DJ Moore. I'm always a DJ Moore guy. I feel like that's kind of the right ranking for DJ Moore. But like, are you getting worried about the Caleb Williams? I know everyone keeps showing the bad pass he threw to Keenan Allen where he like gets mad, but like, is that your biggest fear is Caleb Williams?
No, Trent,
or Keenan Allen?
No, it's more about, it's very similar to the Texas situation for me. Except we have a rookie quarterback, but then we have 3 wide receivers in Adunze, and Keenan Allen, DJ Moore. You have a tight end in Cole Kmet. You have a receiver in DeAndre Swift who can catch the ball out of the backfield. I mean, a running back in DeAndre Swift catch the ball out of the backfield. So we're just talking about a lot of weapons there with a rookie quarterback. So that's where it's even worse than the Texans because, yes, I think Caleb Williams will be good. You're also talking about a rookie quarterback who's going to have growing pains. And I tend to think that, like, I like DJ Moore the most. I have DJ Moore ranked the highest out of all of them. I'm a little bit lower on Keenan Allen. I just worry that DJ Moore is really good at stretching the field. How much of that can we rely on early in the year? Would not shock me if this Bears offense is looking real good towards the end of the year. Yeah. I just worry that there's just a lot of unknown there. How involved is Adunze? I don't know. It's kind of very similar to Texans offense for me, where you have 3 wide receivers, a tight end, a running back, who are all going to be involved. You rookie quarterback, and it's a lot of unknown there. And I have a hard time ranking the unknown. I'd rather rank the known, and I'd rather go with what I know, especially with an offense like the Bears, where, to be honest, they weren't good last year. And we're putting a lot of faith into rookie quarterback.
Okay.
Yeah.
DJ Moore did finish as wide receiver 7 last year, but like you said, rookie quarterback, a little bit more stacked offense.
I mean,
what are you saying?
I mean, and Fields is good. I think Fields is good, and he was the only guy. I mean, you're talking about he had Darnell Mooney to compete with, Trent.
Yeah,
you had 2 legit wide receivers in Keenan Allen. He's old, but he's still solid. He's going to command the ball. He's going to be a possession guy for them. and Odunze, who's electric. So just a lot more competition for targets here.
Two embarrassing things here. Number one, I totally didn't realize that DJ Moore finished at wide receiver 6 last year. I don't know why. Just does that come as a shock to any of you guys?
No, I remember that because I just was so high on him. It is wide receiver 7. But
okay, sorry, I'm looking at. I don't know.
No, you're good.
But the other thing that I was going to say, and maybe we talked about this, and this might be another point of
Keenan Allen finished at wide receiver 8. But keep going, Phil.
Is Jayden Reed. Jordan, you're the highest on him in this list
by a lot.
Yeah, I was gonna bring
significantly.
him up. I was gonna bring him up eventually.
We're right in that section. We're right in that section. So I thought this would be like a good. You have him at.
Yeah, I have him.
You actually 20. You have him at 17.
What do I have? I have 17.
Yeah, you have him at 17
in the top 20.
Yeah, I have him at 40, 17. And Seth has him at 39.
And then
what? So he
PFF,
finished,
just as an example, has him all the way down at like 39, but 63 ADP. Just for
so he finished at wide receiver 23 last year. He was good. He's really good, and so I like his talent. I'm honestly, Trent, I am absolutely shocked that you didn't have him ranked higher because of how high you had Jordan Love ranked in your quarterback rankings. I'm slightly confused.
I'm confused.
You're confused about what?
I'm confused too because I got to the end of it and I was like, where do I put Jayden Reed on here? Where do I put Christian Watson? I don't remember where I put Christian Watson. I like Christian Watson a lot when he's healthy. I think he'd be really good. I have Jordan Love really high, but I don't have I just didn't know where to put Jayden Reed on this list. Because I feel like it's almost like it's just an unknown on who these receivers are. Like,
but
I
is
have
it
a
Trent?
poll on it too.
He had 64 catches for 793 yards last year, 8 touchdowns. He had 11 rushing attempts for 119 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's involved in the run game. They're going to get the wide receiver sweeps with them. He's kind of was turned into Jordan Love's go-to receiver last year. Christian Watson's not reliable. I agree. I love his talent. I think he's extremely explosive, but he's not reliable.
Hamstring doctor.
Well, I'll believe that when I see it. You know, if Christian Watson go 8 games without hurting his hamstring, I'll be impressed. And I think I have where do I have Christian Watson ranked?
You have him in the 20s. You have him at
30, I have Christian Watson at 32.
Yeah.
So like I'm high on this Green Bay offense.
This threw me off, Jordan. Is this Twitter poll, this X poll? Who's Jordan Love's number 1 receiver? 137 votes. It's not a ton, but 33.6% said Jayden Reed, 29.2% said Christian Watson, 20.4% said Romeo Doubs, 16.8% said Wicks. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that first name, but I actually on X, there's some crazy Packers fans on X. They're also kind of annoying, but I'm not going to get into that. But the Packers fans are all over the place, and this seems really close for people that are like there's fantasy fans and there's Packers fans on here. So there is some sway there. Only 137 votes, but this just made it even more complicated to me where I'm just like, I don't know, almost like how you feel about the Texans, I feel like.
Yeah, I guess for me, it's just a little more clear cut. You had Doubs with 96 targets, Reed with 94, Wicks 58, Watson 53. The problem with the Wicks number is it's distorted because of the Christian Watson missed games. You know,
true.
Doubs, but Trent, this goes back to I don't think they can support 3. I think they can support 2. For me, the number 1 is I'm sold as Jayden Reed. The number 2 is going to be entirely dependent on how healthy Christian Watson is. And Doubs may be in that 40 to 50 category wide receiver. I think Jayden Reed has that extra.
You're going to get a lot of Jayden Reed then. He's ADP 63 right now.
Yeah, I'm going to have a lot of Jayden Reed. I love Jayden Reed. I think if you think Jordan Love is even better next year than he was this year, how do you not like Jayden Reed?
Yeah, I got to the end of it, Jordan. I just didn't know which guy to go with, and stage fright, exactly what it was. Stage fright.
Trent, we're talking. He only has to improve 5 spots this year. I think it's doable. I like Jayden Reed a lot. I think he's going to be really good. I think Jordan Love. I think the Packers are going to sling it still. Like I know they have Josh Jacobs, their running back, but it helps that the Packers are, I think, solid, but not like great as a team, and so they're still going to be. They're not going to be grinding out games, running the ball with leads. Like I think they'll be a solid team, but I don't think they're going to be some dominant team who's up 10 points in the fourth quarter every game. They're going to be slinging it,
especially in the NFC North. But yeah, all right. Should we go to the next one here, Phil?
Yep.
Before we go next one here, we'll do a quick little message here from our sponsors over at where are you at here? Where are my sponsors at? Where's my sponsor video? I know. Sorry, we got Underdog here, guys.
Thanks for tuning in to Fantasy Football Dudes. For cheering for the underdog has never been this exciting. And if you like simple, fast, and fun, then Underdog Sports is the perfect place for you. All you got to do is choose 2 to 5 of your favorite players' stats. The more you pick, the more you can win. Get 5 picks right and 20 times your money. Pick them, watch them, win them. Underdog is the easiest place to play DFS. I forgot to mention it's best ball season, so break out your swim trunk and join a best ball mania today. Promo code DUDES will match up to $100. Let's go win some money.
All right, Phil, break out your swim trunk. Phil, what do we got next here?
Trunks.
Big guy.
All right, moving on here. Number 15, Deebo Samuel, 14, Cooper Kupp, 13, Mike Evans, 12, Puka Nacua, 11, Chris Olave, and then 10, Brandon Ayuk. So I love that graphic there, Trent. You're getting. I'd love to clap it up for you. I'm not going to right now, but good work on the graphics here, man. Like you're stepping your game up. This is a good graphic here.
Yeah, a little pirate.
Pirate's booty.
I actually was eating some Pirate's booty when I made this today in the office. So yeah, a little snack. No, I wasn't doing that at all. But yeah. I thought it was cool. Maybe might go watch Pirates of the Caribbean after I'm done editing this episode tonight. Jordan, like Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, both on this list. I'm kind of confused. Like Brandon Ayuk went on social media on Monday, and who was he FaceTiming? He videotaped it. Who was the guy who was FaceTiming? Does you remember? He said, "They don't want me, man. They don't want me. Like I'm out of here. They told me they don't want me." Did anyone else see this?
I know who you're talking about. I forgot who it was with.
Who is he talking to? I'll find it right now. But it's made me not as high on Brandon Ayuk.
Jayden Daniels?
Yeah, it was Jayden Daniels, which was weird to me. Because Jayden Daniels played with him at Arizona. That's why. Because Jayden Daniels has been in college for like 11 years.
Arizona State, right?
Arizona State, yeah, Sun Devils. So he was FaceTiming Jayden Daniels saying, "They don't want me. I'm out of here." So that's made me be like, what?
Who leaked it? Jayden Daniels?
I think Ayuk leaked it. I think he had a friend videotaping him while he did it.
That's such an odd flex.
Yeah, he had a friend videotaping him while he was FaceTiming Jayden Daniels. So that's made me feel different about Brandon Ayuk, Jordan. I still think he's really good. Is he actually going to get traded? Is he not? I'm going to have to wait a little bit. We'll do these rankings more. We're going to have the link to them on our website eventually at www.thefantasyfootballdudes.com. I'm going to try to get these updated a little bit as well. But did you not think about that, Jordan? You're just kind of like looking at this as some off-season drama type stuff.
I'm just not really going to consider it in my rankings, to be honest. And I have him at 13, so it's not like I have him anywhere like I'm probably even a little bit lower or right there where everyone else is at. But I personally, for me, like, where do I have Deebo at? I think I kind of had Deebo a little bit lower. I have him at 19. The Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua stuff is way more fascinating to me than the Niners wide receivers. Fair. Like, because we're all like higher on Cooper Kupp, I think, than the industry.
Yeah, we're all higher. Like, for example, PFF has Cooper Kupp at, where's he at right here? Cooper Kupp is at wide receiver 25, and he's ADP is 34.
I have Kupp at 19, and I have Nakua at, where is he?
You have him high. You have him at 8.
Yeah.
And I have Cooper Kupp at 15.
I have Kupp at 12 and Puka at 14. So I'm the only one with Kupp higher than Puka. I think that I'm definitely lower on Puka than the field, and I'm definitely higher than Kupp in the field. So I guess for me, I just look at it as like I have a hard time believing that Cooper Kupp is not. I guess he could be washed. I don't necessarily believe that. It's kind of like the Eckler thing for me. Like, I know we're supposed to be ahead of the curve here. I just feel like I'm ahead of the curve by thinking that they're not washed. Like, is that if that makes sense? Like, I just think that they have one more year in them. And Cooper Kupp, I think, was good when he wasn't healthy when he was healthy last year. And Puka's, we just don't know. There's just so much unknown with them together. I know
Puka
Stafford, like,
I have Puka at 13, and I have Kupp
at 15.
At 15. So they're like right next to each other for me.
Yeah, I have them just inverted at 12 and 14. So, like, and we all know Stafford loves Cooper Kupp. So he's going to want to give him the ball. I just think Kupp eats into a lot of what Puka did last year. I think the touchdown regression comes a little bit more towards Cooper Kupp. I'm excited to see Cooper Kupp healthy. Obviously, if one gets hurt, it's all out the window, right? So, yeah, I guess I might be too low on Puka. It may come back to bite me, but I'll take my stand there that Puka is the worst value on the board in all of fantasy football this year.
Even if he's good, I feel like he's the worst value on the board. But
I think Cooper Kupp might be one of the better values. And I probably have him too high, but even if he's just at 20, even if he's 18 and 22 with where he's being drafted, it's still really good value.
What about Chris Olave here, Jordan? Chris Olave, he's at 11 on our rankings here, and I am very low on Chris Olave. You guys have him at
8 and 9. I have him at 8. Seth has him at 9.
And I have him at 16.
Why are you so low? Because you're the one dragging him down here in our average rankings.
I'm definitely dragging him down. I don't trust Derek Carr to have a good wide receiver. Like, they were just so off last year. Like, they should jump up a little bit, few spots, but he finished last year. How much better can Derek Carr make Chris Olave? Like, I like Chris Olave in Dynasty. I don't know if I like him season long. About what I have him at is what he finished at last year. Last year he finished at where is he here? You have him a lot higher than what where are the Saints that much better? Like, what did they do this offseason that made him better? They lost offensive linemen. Alvin Kamara is getting old. Derek Carr is getting old. Like, I don't see all the love on Christian
Olave did finish at 22 last year.
22 last year. And I don't think the team's getting better. I think Chris Olave is getting better. I think everyone around him is getting worse. So I feel like everyone's super high on Olave. Doesn't quite make sense to me. I'm not going after, like, I had him as a keeper in a league last year, and I kind of regretted it the whole year. I kept Chris Olave over CeeDee Lamb. Still keeps me up at night. But yeah, maybe I'm a little bitter towards Saints wide receivers, but I don't like. I'm just trying to see, like, why is Chris Olave gonna be so much better when everyone else on his team is so much worse?
Well, Trent, I can tell you why. Just because he had 138 targets last year, 87 catches, 1,000, over 1,100 receiving yards, only 5 touchdowns. So, like, if he gets 3 more touchdowns, keeps the rest of the numbers the same, there's that extra 18 and 20 points, which pushes him up those spots. So, like, and I think Derek Carr is going to be a little bit better. I don't know.
He should be, but like what I watched last year, it was like there was a lot of targets, but there's a lot of targets that just were not good to him. Like,
but he still had over 1,100 receiving yards. If he just gets 9 touchdowns, you're looking at him a lot differently. And I'm not saying that's easy to get 4 more touchdowns, but that's the stuff that you can't control. Like, you can't draft based on touchdowns, and you can't draft because that's stuff that's not like predictable. You can't predict touchdowns. It's variance. Touchdown variance year to year is very, but I can bank on those 138 targets, and I can bank on that volume that's going to be there, and then just hope that the touchdown variance comes with it. You know, I would imagine he gets some positive regression when it comes to touchdowns, because he had he had only 4. So he's due, Trent. I mean, he's 9 total touchdowns combined. But again, he has over 1,000 yards in both years. He has over 119 targets first year, 138 second year, 72 and 87 receptions. We get a little tick up in receptions, tick up in yards. If we can finally get that breakout touchdown year from him, you're looking at a big year from Chris Olave.
You could be right. I just Carr has like these weird little guys where like someone like who was it at the Raiders? Like who's the guy that was really good that got paid all that money that like isn't even on a team anymore? I want to say Shipley. It's not Shipley. Renfro. Like
Renfro.
there's just guys like that Carr gets that like that do really good. Like, you know, when they had Amari Cooper, it was Michael Crabtree. Like it seems like with Derek Carr, it's always the guy that you're like he puts up good stats, but it's always like why is
Trent,
that guy?
He had 25 touchdowns last year, threw for almost 4,000 yards. 68% completion percentage.
Yeah,
he wasn't bad last year.
He finished his QB 15 though. Like you think he with a year where quarterback play was really bad, Jordan. Like there's a lot of guys injured. Like don't forget all the injuries, stuff like that. Like Derek Carr finished QB 15, and guys who finished ahead of him: Russell Wilson, Baker Mayfield, Trevor Lawrence, Jared Goff, Brock Purdy. Like, I know I'm saying some good names there too, but like guys he finished ahead of: Matt Stafford, Justin Fields, Justin Herbert, Geno Smith, Josh Dobbs, Gardner Minshew, Desmond Ridder, Bryce Young.
Okay.
Trent. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm going to throw your argument right back at you then.
Okay.
Why do you have Justin Jefferson at wide receiver 3?
Because I still think he's going to get because I think he's the best wide receiver in the league. You know, like he's up there. Like
but do you think Christian Olave is a top 10 wide receiver in the league?
Is it Chris Olave or Christian Olave? Because I think I'm messing people up. You said Christian. I'm messing people up, so I apologize for that.
Go ahead.
I don't think I don't know if he is. I don't know. I like Chris Olave. I don't know if I would say he's a top 10.
Okay.
Last year I was super high on Chris Olave. Maybe I just got burned last year and I'm just, buyer remorse and I'm taking it out on him.
I just because your logic for Justin Jefferson applies to Olave, and I don't think you're applying it equally there.
I don't think anyone would compare Olave to Jefferson though. Like I think those guys are in 2 totally different tiers.
I think I disagree with you from a talent standpoint, but okay. I'm not saying that he's Justin Jefferson, but I also don't think they're in 2 entirely different tiers. Like Olave is extremely talented.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think he's good. I think the rest of his team got worse, but I see what you're saying.
So did Minnesota with Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, but Jefferson last year with he had some good games with, garbage quarterback play. Without Kirk Cousins. At the end of the year, he had some good games.
Yeah, but you haven't seen garbage quarterback play until you watch J.J. McCarthy play quarterback.
Okay. I did see that opening pitch he had in the baseball game. It was pretty bad, but we should probably keep going here. What are you laughing at, Phil?
The opening pitch and the moving on.
For a quarterback, you got to be better than that. All right. Well, next, Phil, we got 9 through 6.
Year, Trent, I have to say, man, these are pretty good. All right, 9 through 6, we have Devontae Adams, Drake London, Garrett Wilson, and A.J. Brown. So this is your 9 through 6 here.
9 through 6. So I have just an argument I have here. He's on the next list. Is there any argument you see on this list here? I feel like we're all pretty similar here, other than Chris Olave, and Seth has Puka Nacua. We kind of talked about those 2 names already. Am I correct there? Is there someone else on that list? I have a better one for the next one, I could say.
I don't think there's too much here to really go over.
Where do you have Garrett Wilson, Jordan?
I have Garrett Wilson at 7. Drake London at 9, Devontae at 10. Yeah. I'm a big Drake London guy. Drake London, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave. I really like those 3. I have them ranked 6, 7, 8, 9. They're all real close for me. Big fan of all 3 of those guys. I think they're all going to have really good years this year.
Okay.
All from the same draft class, right? I'm not thinking about that. All from the same draft class.
Mm-hmm. Okay. we can move on from the next one. I think we got more in the next one here. But before we go to that, today's episode is brought to you by Sleeper.
Dudes, we get it. Fantasy football is tough. From injuries, lineup decisions, stage fright at the draft. But what shouldn't be tough is the platform you play fantasy football on. Make the best and easiest fantasy football decision today. Text your commissioner right now and demand he takes your league over to Sleeper. From trading rookie draft picks, multi-team trades, a chat, and much more, Sleeper is the ultimate place to play fantasy football. And now Sleeper's offering picks with dynamic payouts, where you can win 100 times your money. They have multiple ways to play and easy research tools right there in the app, so you can make a good decision. Cheer together and watch your contest unfold in real time. All you gotta do is pick a player and choose an over-under. It's that easy, guys. The next easiest part is enter promo code DUDES100 and they will match you up to $100, guys. Come on, what are you waiting for? Take your league to the next level and have some more fun and win some cash along the way. Head over to Sleeper, guys. You won't regret it. I promise.
All right. Top 5. So you want to read those off. And I admit this is probably my worst graphic, but I made this one first. And
not bad. Not too bad. So 5 down, Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamar Chase, Tyreek Hill, and CeeDee Lamb. So this one, I mean, it's
hard to argue on these, right? But
yeah,
I have Jamar Chase, I think, a lot lower than everyone else. I have Jamar Chase at 6. Jordan, you have him at 3. Seth, you have him at 3. I have him behind AJ Brown and Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think looking at this more right now, I would probably move Jamar Chase. What I'm going to do in my next ranking is probably move Jamar Chase up to 5 and AJ Brown down 1. I maybe am too high on Amon-Ra St. Brown right now. You know what I'm saying?
You're too high on Justin Jefferson.
On him at all, though.
Trent, too high on Justin Jefferson?
You're too high on Justin Jefferson. I know that sounds crazy, me saying that, but okay, we'll go back to what you said about, Chris Olave is not in the same tier talent-wise as Justin Jefferson. Is Jamar Chase in the same talent-wise, in the tier talent-wise as Justin Jefferson?
Is Jamar Chase? Yeah, I would say he's in the same talent-wise with the better
why don't you?
Yeah.
So Joe Burrow or JJ McCarthy? Who's better?
Yeah, it's Joe Burrow. Yeah.
Okay.
No, yeah, how
do you have? Why do you have Justin Jefferson ranked above Jamar Chase?
I'm just having a hard time letting go. And I probably need to read. You're probably convincing me that I'm messed up right there. I just think he's going to demand targets. He's have a good season because what he had last year, is he the only guy that's had? How many receiving yards did he have last year? He still had. Where is this right here? Sleeper's not doing a good job of telling me what he had. Here it is. He still had 1,000 receiving yards last year and 5 TD. He had 1,000 receiving yards last year and he missed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games. He missed 7 games last year, had 1,000 receiving yards. And those last couple games were with bad quarterbacks, from week 14 through week 18, he did not have good quarterbacks and he still had great numbers. So that's why I think that Justin Jefferson still could be that guy with Sam Darnold or JJ McCarthy. Do we think Josh Dobbs is better than JJ McCarthy? Do we think look at the quarterback play they had, Jordan? I don't think they're going to throw JJ McCarthy out there unless he's absolutely ready. McDonald's pretty good with QBs. I think they can figure this out to, throw some stuff together. Where do you have Jefferson?
You have
Chase.
I think you're convincing me. I think we're both convincing each other to kind of meet in the middle here a little bit. I'm probably a little bit too low on Justin Jefferson, but I think you're too high. I understand what you're saying, but I just think JJ McCarthy, and maybe my dislike for JJ McCarthy is clouding this all a little bit. I just prefer Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jamar Chase over Justin Jefferson.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's what it comes down to. I like the safety of the quarterback position a little bit more. I think both those guys are close to the same talent tier as Justin Jefferson. And I guess I also worry what makes Justin Jefferson so good and what those quarterbacks like Nick Mullins, Josh Dobbs were able to do was push the ball down the field, right? They would take chances down the field. I'm skeptical of JJ McCarthy can do that. And so now you're relying on those 10-catch, 90-yard games with a touchdown. I just don't know. If you tell me Sam Darnold starts the whole year, Trent, I agree with you. Then I have Justin Jefferson back to probably. Honestly, if you tell me Sam Darnold starts the whole year, I might have him at 2 or 1. I just don't see that happening.
Do we think McDonald's on the hot seat in Minnesota? Seth, do you think he's on the hot seat? Do you think he's like, hey, I'm going to just do this whole thing?
McConnell? You saying McConnell?
Sorry. Think McConnell's on the hot seat? Like, do you think he's got to win games? You don't think so?
You don't draft JJ McCarthy and play him in games
So I think they might. Like, I don't think they're gonna. Like, I think they're gonna play him when they think he's ready. Like, I don't think they're like going to rush him in. I think Jefferson could be. They just paid him. Like, I think I'm too low on Chase, but it feels weird how high I have Amon-Ra St. Brown. But he just was so good he was just so good this year. Like, I feel weird having Amon-Ra St. Brown above Jamar Chase. And like I said, I want to flip-flop those. And like, let's be honest, we're, splitting hairs here. Like, all these guys are really good, on our top. Like, we all kind of have the same guys. We're just in a little bit different ranking order, right?
Yeah, I mean, Trent, Amon-Ra was he's just a target monster. It's kind of crazy how many targets he gets.
But you don't think he loses some to like Laporta or stuff like that?
No,
there's a lot of guys there. I think what's another guy we don't have on here, Jordan? We don't have the other guy in Detroit who I think is to be better. Who's to be good?
Who?
Who's Williams? Jamison Williams.
Yeah, but
there's a lot of
talent. You're higher on him. You're higher on him than I am.
I don't have him that high on my list. He's not even on my top 40, I don't think. Like, and I think I'm too low on him.
Yeah, I mean,
but I can show and then splitting hairs here. Seth, you have CeeDee Lamb at 1. Jordan, you have Tyreek. Jordan, you're the only guy with Tyreek at 1. Me and Seth both have CeeDee.
I think it's fine either way. I don't know. I just kind of decided to go a little different.
You've just been a Tyreek guy.
I'm a Tyreek guy, honestly. So
yeah. Oh yeah, that's fine. All right, and here's our whole top 30 here. If you guys want to check it out, there it is. I got them all right there. You can go to the end, screenshot that, save it for a rainy day. Gonna have these rankings.
Trent, how wild is it? Just real quick before we go, how wild is it that not one Chiefs wide receiver in the top 30?
It felt really weird.
Do any of us even have one ranked in the top 30? I think I might.
I think we would have them, Jordan. I meant to say
I have Hollywood at 23. I have Rashee Rice at 36. I don't have Xavier Worthy ranked.
I think if we had Jordan, if we knew what was going on with Rashee Rice, we would
have Rice
it'd be easier.
Yeah.
Like, if we knew if he was going to miss or not miss, like, I think that, and we just,
think like Hollywood was pretty solid last year. What did he finish last year?
I think we just all got burned on Chiefs wide receivers last year, Jordan. Like, last year you had Kadarius Toney.
Can we not even do it? Can we not do it?
You had Kadarius Toney at 12.
Gosh, why'd you bring it up?
No. You had him at 30. I'm sorry. You had him at 30.
I could see both happening.
Yeah,
man. I think Marquise Brown's going to be really good this year. I think I'm going to be higher on Marquise Brown.
I think I'm going to up that too. But this is a fun exercise. We're doing it earlier than normal this year. Maybe
this might be some of the only exercise people on this podcast are getting,
and probably some of the only exercise our listeners are getting too. Unfortunately, which it's summer. You gotta get that summer bod. I think we kind of missed that. So maybe start working out for next year's summer bod. Is like what Seth always tells me. Anyways, guys, is there any divas you guys got? Like, what do we think? Thanks for tuning in for the rankings. Any divas? I could pull something up here. Probably, pull a rabbit out of a hat like I always do, because I have a little list here. Okay, Seth, hit me.
I'm just gonna call someone out live on this pod. happens to be the guy to my right. If you're looking at the screen, this guy was not about to come on, and thank goodness Jordan made him feel bad, and now he's on. So you're welcome, people. You're welcome.
Thank you, Jordan.
But Phil was my diva for almost not coming on.
Well, but I didn't know. It seemed like you guys were very much into the pod, so I'm like, okay, I'm not going to start.
It was 9:15, brother.
Yeah, you guys started at 9.
That's the nicest nickname
we did not start at 9.
That guy.
You guys said you were starting at 9, so I said, okay.
Phil, how many times we do this pod every week? If we say we start at 9, how many times do we actually start at 9?
Sometimes we start at 8:55. I don't know. I'm just
0% chance we actually start it when we say we're going to
I hate that Phil always looks for an out to get out of this thing. It's so sad.
If you had to tell me,
maybe we should fire him live on pod.
Do it.
Ooh, that'd be sweet.
Yeah. See this pod go down the drain with your hopes and dreams of. I'm not going to say it.
Don't say it.
Oh man! All right. Well,
I have one. I
actually had a driving one that I was like, oh, I'm gonna be like Seth. Oh, I do have one. Can I say this? And it's actually been in the news. Can I say mine real quick?
Forest fires. What is this?
No, cyclists who bike in front. Seth, you maybe you deal with this, maybe you don't. In town, there was a cyclist who was, and I'm not like someone actually hit a cyclist recently, and it was in the news. I would never do something like that. Like obviously not. But these guys will cut you off.
Yeah.
No,
and it's not even like you have the right of way. They will cut in front of you. No, they expect
no arm signal, no nothing.
No arm signal, no nothing. They fully expect for you to yield to them, whether they have the right of way or not. Whether you have the right of way or not. Excuse me. Like I was driving in town. And this guy just cuts me off on his bike. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? I'm going like
you were walking.
Oh. I'm going 15 miles an hour, but don't shoot out in front of me. You know what I'm saying? And that is a regular occurrence out here. Same thing with people on those electric bikes. Like, what are we doing here? And I know that might offend some of our listeners, or might offend a listener. But those electric bikes are brutal. They're brutal.
I have a question. Are you supposed to stop at a stop sign when you're riding a bike?
Yes.
Yeah.
Dude, I was driving in Santa Barbara this weekend, and I watched a guy. One, he's like not in the bike lane. Like he literally could be riding the bike lane.
Yes, again.
But he's like straddling the bike lane and the road. And we're on kind of a narrow, like kind of windy road. Not windy, but narrow.
Is this a bachelor party?
No, we're at a basketball tournament up at Westmont, Santa Barbara. And I don't know if you guys have been to Westmont, but the road from the coastline up to west the campus is kind of weird. And so and he's just not enough to where I can't really pass him because there's cars coming, but he's not in the bike lane. So I'm just kind of driving. And then he pulls over at the 4-way stop, which is fine, into the lane. He doesn't even stop at the 4-way stop. I thought, cars aren't allowed to do the rolling stop, but the bikes are. I don't.
You're supposed to obey the traffic. You're supposed to obey the traffic laws while you're cycling. But these guys do not. They take advantage of them, and they actively look to make drivers upset. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. I'm like, obviously, you don't want anyone to you never would want to someone to get hurt, but it's like you can't just cut off a vehicle. Right? You can't cut someone off. You have to stop at the stop sign. There's a lot of things there.
Did you call the police on him because he wasn't wearing a helmet too? What's your deal, Phil?
No, I didn't.
Skill exercise.
I didn't call the police. I just was like, gosh, this is super annoying. Yeah. And to Jordan's point, we have a bike lane in some of these streets, but they will ride in the car lane and will expect for you to ride the line in the middle. It's like, I'm at that point, I just made another turn so I didn't have to ride behind them. But it's like, come on, this is crazy. This is nuts.
So here's mine. This happened a while ago on a plane, but I'm finally getting to it. People, I don't think this is a normal thing. I think I just sat by the one, thankfully I have very good noise canceling headphones. But
is this rated G?
This is, I think. I didn't pay too much attention, but I will give you the G version. This guy did not speak English. he paid for Wi-Fi on the plane and decided to watch Spanish TikTok videos the whole entire flight without headphones.
That is terrible.
Out loud, where you can hear them.
It doesn't matter if you're an English speaker or not. Like, there's people who speak English who do the exact same thing.
You should have
across
headphones
the board. Across the board,
yes,
yeah.
You should have
any
headphones
language
on in the
any
plane,
language.
Not loud phone. Like, what are you gonna say, Jordan? It's okay to listen without headphones on the
No,
plane?
I was gonna say, I'll be honest. I thought you were going somewhere a lot less G-rated.
Yeah,
that.
no. I
because
wasn't paying attention to it. But
people
it was
also
like,
do that on the planes, and that's very diva-ish too. You
Yeah.
know, and you start watching stuff that's not G-rated.
Yeah. No, exactly. Like I always, careful for, who else is around me. Like, like I feel like if I'm watching a movie with like, a lot of gore or something, I'm going to fast forward it if there's like a 9-year-old sitting behind me. You know what I'm saying? Like, so this, it was just weird having a guy just listening to something.
It's pretty obnoxious too, because you don't even know what's going on, Trent.
You don't know what's going on. Yeah. And I was just like, I thought about just being like, hey man, you want to borrow an AirPod? Like, here, use my headphones. Like it was just kind
Why
of.
didn't you call? That's worthy of calling the stewardess and being like, dude,
usually
get this guy.
Usually a stewardess would say, hey, you can't do that unless you have headphones.
Yeah,
because like that's just it's obnoxious, really. Like if someone's trying to sleep or read a book, like how you can't.
There was a lot of turbulence on this fight too, so maybe that's why he got away with it. Oh
yeah, probably. That's definitely why he got away with it.
It was the perfect storm for this guy. So I almost like almost snapped a picture, and I was like, that's not cool. So I thought that would have put me on the diva list too. So
did you stand up immediately when the plane landed?
Yes, I did.
Yes, Trent didn't want to take a picture because he'd have to take a selfie because it was he did it. It was Trent.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
All right, guys. Well, hey, I think that does it. Anything else you want to say here, Phil? You gonna talk for 30 minutes after the pod for Seth's bad bike habits, or what are you thinking?
No, I'm ready to go to sleep. I am exhausted. I don't know about you guys. I've had it's just been,
Does your face kind of hurt?
What?
Because it's killing me. All right. Anyways, guys, we'll see you next time. And as always,
stupid, literally stupid.
This has been another episode of the Fantasy Football Dudes podcast. Remember to rate, review, and follow. For more information, go to www.thefantasyfootballdudes.com. And remember, we are sorry for absolutely nothing.